Boom, we're live. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Hey, everyone. Thank you so much for hopping on to my show. This is CityClips. We're focused on highlighting everything North Florida business and tech. I'm really excited about today's episode to feature Nick and David with Ology Brewing Co. Thank you so much for hopping on today.
Thanks for having us.
So I'm going to try to get through your bios and then, of course, ask about your story because you guys are now currently doing a Wefunder campaign, and really awesome to see all the success that you've had. And I saw from when you guys first started to where you are now, and it's really impressive. So Nick Walker is the co-founder and CEO and head brewer of Ology Brewing Co., a Tallahassee-based brewery and distillery founded in 2017. With a background in biology and nursing and a decade of homebrewing experience, he drew inspiration from his family's scientific roots to create a brand focused on sensory-driven craft beer. Under his leadership, Ology has grown to 4 tap rooms, secured spots in major retail chains, and expanded its distribution nationally and internationally. Now it's David's turn. If I say your last name incorrectly, just let me know. David Arendt, as CEO, Arendt, like literally. He serves as CEO and co-founder of Ology Brewing Co., where he leads operations, compliance, and strategic growth. During the initial phase of COVID-19 pandemic, David worked alongside Nick to secure a state contract producing hand sanitizer. Completely forgot about that. And this initiative not only supported the local community, but also helped sustain business continuity as tap rooms face closure. David plays a key behind-the-scenes role in aligning daily operations with Ology's long-term vision. So thanks so much for joining to talk about your story. Now, how did your stories eventually, how did you guys meet? And was this all part of your plan when you became friends? Like, yes, let's grow and go big with a local brewery.
A couple of our founders and I had been friends for 20 plus years, and David was working with them on their other business, a hedge fund. And so as we were building out Ology and getting everything started, David became very integral in things that were going on. And as time went on, it became more cemented that David is Ology and not the other business, but essentially just came over and helped run everything. So.
That's great. And it's funny because I met you, Nick, through the Ultimate community. I used to play a long time ago when I first moved here. And then you probably don't remember. We were actually team members a few times.
Yep, I remember.
Oh, you do? Oh my God. That's great. I can't remember. Was that the green team? It was a while back. I don't know. Year. Maybe orange or something.
It was out, the Springfield fields. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, those crazy fields. But yeah, no, like we were talking earlier, like the Ultimate community, Frisbee and beer and brewing really goes hand in hand. Were you already kind of experimenting at the time?
I was home brewing at the time, but no vision for Ology at that point.
So you were already home brewing. And probably not in did entrepreneurship enter into your mind at all? Like, hey,
no, not really. That took my friends being like, "You got to do this." So,
because they really liked it, right?
They did.
They obviously liked.
Very passionate about it, and so they were trying to get me kick my butt into gear.
And so now, you're currently fundraising. Have you what's that journey been like from? I know that's a long time frame, but did you what was it like when you guys started selling? When you
at first it was wild. I mean, we had 2,000 square feet and running a tap room that none of us are from hospitality. So trying to learn how to do that and manage people and customer service to brewing beer on a scale that's much different than in my garage. So it was great, but when we opened Ology, the vision was just the Midtown location, which was, like I said, 2,000 square feet, and it was just going to be a successful tap room in Tallahassee that I dedicated my life to. And then as opportunity came up, we keep kind of resetting and saying, well, what's next, if there is something next, and it becomes very clear when it does, and then we jump in.
So David, tell me a little bit more when you joined, and I mean, it sounds like you did a lot of the convincing, like, hey, you need to grow big or go home, right? That kind of thing. It seems like you guys are there. It's because hospitality and restaurant business is one of the hardest types of businesses to get into.
Yeah. So I was like Nick said, I was part of working with the hedge fund, and I was there for our opening shift. I was working behind the bar just as a friend, volunteering my time to help serve some beers. And it seemed like every time there was something that went wrong or something got broken or something had to be fixed, I was constantly going over and just helping out. And we've had a couple really big defining moments within the history of Ology, but some of the big ones were, we were just a single tap room here in Tallahassee, and we got invited to one of the biggest beer festivals in the world in Copenhagen. And I think it surprised and astounded all of us that we knew our beer was good, but it was really cool to see that other people thought that it was that good too. And from there, it was, we had people reaching out to us across the US and the country asking for our beer, and we just slowly expanded our distribution. And then it was, we need to create a bigger production facility. And so we got our second location, and it was like, we need to service all of the people that live in Tallahassee on the north side of town. So we built another tap room, and then we did Tampa right behind that one. And it's been a wild ride, just going from wherever the opportunities have presented themselves and really just trying to take advantage of the unique opportunities that we get.
That's great. And it's almost like, it sounds like everything an opportunity would come up and you would just take it. Absolutely. Nick doesn't give me the impression he's like super ambitious to do anything. He's like, I just want to be at home brewing. I'm happy. Like, and now
definitely a balance there. And I think we do a really good job of balancing the dreams and ambitions of what we could be with the reality of, how do we make sure that everything that we do is grounded in a safe and thoughtful way to proceed. We don't want to grow so big so fast that we can't support it. And,
right.
But at the same time, we do have ambitions, and we do see a lot of opportunity in our future.
That's great. And you've also made it into major retail chains like Publix, over 75 Publix locations, Whole Foods, Trader Joe's. Yeah, I see all of your beautifully designed labels, which, by the way, I should probably make sure I add that on. So if people, the great website we talked about a little bit before we hopped on about how you're hands-on with sales and marketing, and really cool that you guys found partnerships in each other and work well together. And you've had, I know the designs have won awards.
Yes.
But you've also won some contests, right? I believe.
Yeah, product and tap room locations and design have all done well.
Yeah. So you have 4 locations, 3 in Tallahassee, 1 in Tampa. How's that been? Having to manage all of that, and over 100 unique brews.
Yeah. It's gone great. It's all about having good people. So especially somewhere like Tampa, it's an easy drive, 4 hours, but at the same time, we have enough to do up here. We can't jump down there every week. And so having people that you trust and people that know what they're doing, and staying in touch with them, make sure that we're on the same page.
Yeah, and if I add to the total, it looks like you have over 195 total, 162 active in the last 5 years, and then every year there's at least 100 unique brews.
I think we're about 500 at this point, but
500.
COVID, we did like 115 or something like that in 1 year, different brands. We had to get stuff packaged out to people, so that was a pivot for us. But yeah, generally we do a new beer every week, if not more.
Oh my gosh, that's so creative. There's a lot of creativity when it comes to that. Do you just kind of experiment with different ingredients? Like, what's your process?
We do.
Like?
I mean, we primarily brew 4 different styles. A fruited beer, a hazy IPA, a lager, and then every once in a while a stout or some kind of more West Coast IPA world. And so we kind of rotate through there, see what the market is doing, what the tap room's demand is, talk to our managers, make sure that we're on the same page of what our needs are. And then we design off there. If I need another hazy IPA, we'll play with new hops and new procedures and talk to, that's the great thing about traveling is we can talk to other producers and figure out what they're doing and integrate that into a new one-off beer and see what we think.
What is your most popular? What are you noticing that people gravitate towards?
I mean, for brand-wise, Sensory Overload is our number one beer, but we opened up with that beer. It's gotten a lot of brand presence in Tallahassee and the region. Hazy IPAs have always been something that sell very well for us. I think we're one of the better producers in the Southeast, and that shows that. But lately, lagers have been taking a, depending on the month, they'll come up front on the actual taproom sales.
Have you noticed that sometimes there's like market behaviors towards trends?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's where that lager is coming from, is especially in the craft market. Lagers kind of had a bad name because of people have a view macro beer in a certain way. If you really are a huge craft snob kind of feel, which I have been, but you find that they do produce very good product, and craft breweries for a while avoided that. And so now I think people are embracing that there are really, really good lagers out there, especially internationally. And so start taking pieces of those different styles and integrating them into your portfolio.
What's it been like, like when the point came in when you decided, oh, we can actually get into retail locations, and how did that opportunity come up? Is that something you guys planned, or it just kind of fell on your lap too?
We didn't really plan on it early on. I think we kind of walked into it until we decided to jump and run. Year one, we started distributing a little bit out into the Atlanta market and into the Florida market through what we call these like boutique, small, very craft-centric distributors. And we did that for a couple of years, and we would distribute to probably 20 different states, and just do a couple pallets every couple months to them and supply those independent beer stores with product that was great and cool and from a different area. But there's a ceiling to that, and so about 2 years ago we pivoted and decided to really push our distribution channel, and that's where growth has been huge for us in the past 2 years because of that. And that's been a lot of David's focus, is make sure those sales stay up and figuring out what the next move is in distribution, and in what's our next territory and how are we going to attack that. So that was the real push 2 years ago, going with these what we call the Bud Network, the Budweiser, what they use, the distributors. So they touch these Publixes, the chain stores. They can touch 90% of the accounts out there. Whereas the small boutique guys, they're really craft focused, but they don't have huge teams. They don't have a lot of bandwidth to actually help facilitate something like Publix.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm glad you brought that up, because I was going to ask you about the partnership with Budweiser House Distributor Network, and it's covering up to 98% of the Southeast markets. It's pretty amazing. And so what's that been like, managing that? Is it like the experience they handle all of that? You don't have to worry about it. You just kind of look at the numbers.
I wish it was that easy. No, in every market that we expand into, because of the way that the laws work in Florida and very similarly in a lot of states, the retail accounts aren't able to buy directly from Ology. And so what we have to do is we have to go out and find a distributor that's willing to sell our beer. They then sell it to the retailers, but we have to go out and actually have people selling to those retail accounts. So we have sales staff that go into bars and say, hey, you should offer Ology beer to your consumers. And then they have to buy that beer through the distributor. And so really we have to have a three-pronged sales approach where we're getting beer drinkers aware of our product, so we have to do a lot of digital marketing and things like that, so that as we expand outside of our local market, people know the name of Ology so that when they go into their local bar, they can order it. We also have to sell the bartenders so that when that person goes to a random bar, the bartender's like, hey, have you tried Ology yet? And we'll put that beer in front of them. And then that gets the distributors really excited because they see movement, which is what they really care about. And they're not there to sell our beer. They're there just to deliver it. So really, they are just really big distribution networks, right? And that's all they really focus on is the actual distribution.
Okay, I get it now. And so at what point did you realize you guys wanted to use Wefunder to raise more funds?
It's something we've talked about for a while. Growing distribution network is expensive. You have to have increased product. You have to have boots on the ground, as David was just saying. These distributors do a great job of moving product, and they look for opportunities that we can partner on in a bigger scale. But from getting into every bar or every restaurant or these other stores, that's not their job. And so having salespeople on our payroll for a couple of years as you build each region is not cheap. And so that was really our folks were like, well, you know what, we can reach out to people and especially in Tallahassee, have this partnership with a brand and a presence of territory that we've been in for 8 years now, and give an opportunity for people to invest in Ology and become part of the team to allow this growth to happen.
I really think that what has tremendously helped is obviously you focus on the quality of the flavors, the brewing, but the designs too. Like the branding behind every single packaging design, that's not cheap either. I appreciate it so much. That's like, and that was one of the things that really caught my eye because I have more of an advertising design background, but I always appreciated brands that invested in great design. And shout out to Leacock. He's the one behind a lot of this. And of course you guys are, he collaborates with y'all to direct the concept. So was that early on that you decided you wanted to, focus on high quality design?
Yeah, there was day one, especially in the craft market is, it's grown to where there's a lot of craft breweries and you have to have something that's shiny and flashy and something that's fun at the same time. And so just putting the name of the beer on a can doesn't necessarily work. And so Steve's been with us since day one. He created the original brand mark for Ology and has done essentially every single label from cans to bottles to liquor bottles for us.
That's awesome. Like because you have over, is it 100? So each one has one. Like you literally have over hundreds of designs. Is that how?
Yeah, we've gotten to the point to where if we make a beer, it's going to be packaged into a package, a can that can go out.
And then even the packaging, like, is it a lot of fun for y'all? Like, it's not typical that most people who don't design are into that process.
Yeah,
at all.
I love seeing what Steve puts out. I am not a designer or an artist, so we come up with a concept, a topic, and kind of give them a 3-sentence blurb of where our minds are. But I always try to add in the end of a caveat: if you have a better idea with this name, go for it. And he kills it. He does a great job.
That's awesome. And I know I brought up Wefunder and I put it in the comments. So for people who are looking for a link, it's going to be there on Facebook and YouTube. And unfortunately, StreamYard doesn't automatically post a comment on LinkedIn. So we'll make sure that we include that link. Tell it, like, for those who aren't familiar, can you tell people about Wefunder? It's a community round fundraise. What makes it unique? And I am already more familiar, but I wanted to know why you guys decided to go through Wefunder.
Yeah, so we just celebrated our 8th year anniversary, and when we were kind of thinking about doing this capital raise for Ology, we've got a very good network. We've had a lot of people that have shown support. We've raised money in the past, but we decided to try to do something a little bit more unique and special for this round, which we've got a lot of loyal fans and supporters that come to our bar every single week and drink Ology beer. And we thought that this would be a really cool way for them to, feel part of that ownership of Ology as well, and be an owner in Ology. So it was a lot. The main reason we did it was so that we could allow our biggest fans to support us in an even bigger and better way.
That's awesome. So what is the goal? I mean, I don't have the total numbers here pulled up for.
Yeah. So we're raising $800,000, and that's going to go to expand our distribution network to include South Florida and Atlanta, and then beyond that, continuing to grow through the entire Southeast area: North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, Louisiana, Alabama, all of it, Mississippi. And kind of, but the main focus right now is getting into Atlanta and South Florida. We're actually already in talks with some of the South Florida distributors so that we can hopefully open up those markets here soon. And yeah, also improving our infrastructure here. We recently got a silo that dramatically reduces our grain costs and things like that. So we're already starting to make some big improvements.
That's awesome. And I mean, this is huge. I'm just so impressed. Like, how do you manage all your time? Because I know you both have families, and I'm sure, and I've jokingly, because Nick, like I've seen your wife at the holiday parties, and it's not easy. I know.
Yeah. I mean, we do and we don't manage our time. If there's a big project, we just have to do it. We recently, Monday night, we closed down Midtown for the first time that it wasn't a holiday, so we could do some renovation on the building. And because of that, it was a 16, 17-hour day. We're there at 9 and leaving at 1 a.m. And that's just what you have to do to get it done. And so we try to be careful that we're not doing too much on the weekends that we don't have to be doing, or evenings. So it's putting up those barriers. But end of the day, if something arises, you can't just say business go on hold and all of that. So it's tough, and I know it's harder on the families than it is us a lot of times.
But I'm sure all the sacrifices are paying off. I mean, you've gotten so much success, and there's different aspects of growing a business at this scale, and it, like I said, retail, hospitality, it's not the easiest type of industry, and let alone even with brewery, like there's so much competition. No, I mean, even just like in Tallahassee is a small market, but somehow you guys are one of the ones who really dominate. And I'd like to say, I know that sounds so strong, but you guys are humbly dominating in the market and doing well, setting as an example of how to properly grow. And so, speaking of which, the TLH Beer Fest, I'm guessing you guys will be there, right? It's this weekend.
It is this weekend.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you guys are representing Tallahassee, Sewell, North Florida market, and really excited for all that you guys are doing. Is there anything you guys would like to say as before we wrap up? I do have a question, because I knew I wanted to ask you guys about like the marketing side, because you guys manage the social media accounts, and you said that was what has helped you guys kind of maintain growth and spreading the word, right?
Yeah, we see a lot of interaction on our social media, and whether that means that person is coming to our bar or not, at least they're getting exposed to the brand and sharing that. So we have a firm that we work with that does all the photography, videography, helps us get creative with stuff. So we meet weekly on what are we going to post about and what's that going to look like, and then they go and actually execute that. But as you know, it's a lot of planning and visualizing what we want to do. We have 8 different accounts that we manage, and some of those are tap rooms where you're trying to tell people to come in, and you have events going. Some of them are just exposing the brand, and sometimes it's more kind of lifestyle of how do we connect with people.
So cool. I mean, I'm trying to grow one brand, and so it's like, have you guys considered, is that part of your strategy, is like the more flavors, that part of like something that makes you guys unique, to compete with the market? Or at some point,
yes and no.
Like, yeah.
I think in Tallahassee, yes. No, it doesn't even, like, you can't really give a metric on how many more brews or liquor bottles that we sell than anybody else. not even volume wise, but brand wise. That's just not something that's done in Tallahassee, but nationally, like that's happening somewhat regularly in each region. And I think the first people I saw was exposed to doing it was WeldWorks out in Colorado, and I think this is 7 years ago when they were producing 110 different brands or 140 brands. I think that first year at a brewers conference, I was talking to them, and that's just, if you're into craft beer and you want to experiment and you're not just doing it because it's the business that you happen to be working with, that you're passionate about what you're making and you want to keep experimenting, playing, and offering new flavors. I mean, each one's exciting to taste once it comes out. So for me personally, and I think the customer base sees that as well.
So what's your favorite?
I hate that question. No, I think the answer is always, I love a good hazy IPA. I love drinking them. The flavors are just so rich and bright at the same time. I can't drink 8 of them, but I love them. Whereas lagers are just much more drinkable and easygoing. I don't have to think about it. They're not easy to brew, so really good lager is sometimes hard to find. So probably drink the most lager of just trying to enjoy beer, but if I want to sit and just like have an experience, it's a really good hazy IPA.
Before I ask David the same thing, actually, what's your favorite, David? And then I know I'm gonna forget this question if I don't. But I'll ask.
Yeah. So my answer is pretty easy. Although I love all of our beers and do drink all of them a lot, I think the thing I drink the most here is an old fashioned. I end probably about half my days with an old fashioned at the bar before I go home.
Another trend that I'm hearing about, and to be completely transparent for people who don't know, I actually have like some sensitivities to sulfites and things and wine in general. But one thing that's picking up is non-alcoholic beverage, but it has flavors of it. And so do you guys have anything like that?
And we do mocktails. We have different cocktails without NA cocktails, essentially. Beer side, the infrastructure is pretty high to get started. Also, I'll be honest, I have not had one that I am excited about. And I know it is offering a bigger market space, but the problem for me personally, and I'm not saying we're not going to do it because we've talked about it a lot, and I think it might be something that we jump down. The problem is for me personally is that I always want to create the highest quality product that we can. And when I have one of those, it's not. And I have trouble coming to terms with that. Again, it very well may be something that we decide to do, and we are in talks about it. I think it's great to be able to offer a piece of ology to everybody in that sense. But I do have trouble personally with that. So.
Well, it goes to show that maybe you're the one who's going to come up with the best one. Because I mean, like with all these flavors and brands that you guys have accommodated, I'm mind blown. But are you like a super taster? Because how?
I have
Has
not
anyone asked you that?
My grandfather used to do those tests. I have not been tested on that, but I started cooking for my family when I was 8 and cooked basically every meal since then. So I have a lot of palate training in that sense, but nothing formal. And no, I have not been tested for any of the super.
You might want to try it out. And there's this really cool show called Drops of God. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It's all about wine and sommeliers, if that's how they're doing. But yeah, they're like particular about, they can know the year, the make, everything, the source of the wine just by taste. I was like, seriously? So I'm guessing I wonder if you entered a contest, you could figure out which one's your flavors, like which flavors are which.
Maybe a lot of that's training as well. They dedicate years to get those levels, and a lot of money to be able to take that much.
Seriously, I know. Okay, so we have a few minutes. I would love for both of you to kind of give like an entrepreneurial tip. If you were to speak to your earlier self, what would you say?
Look for opportunity and think about it. Have people in your life and friends or business partners that you can talk it over with. And seriously consider every opportunity. We would not be where we are today if we didn't rewrite our playbook. And so having to look at that and say, we would have never done that. In 8 years, maybe that'll be the hottest thing for ology. But you look at it and say, is this something that we're going to do now? Maybe not. But if we were going to do it, how would we go about it? And then when the opportunity becomes clear, it's the right decision, you're ready to take that step without wasting 2 years. So just look at new opportunities and think through them, even if you're not seriously considering it at the time.
I think my answer would piggyback on that just a hair, which would be finding good people. I think for our history, one of the things that we've always kept as a very important thing is when you find a good person, even if you don't really have a good spot for them in the company right now, still find a way to get them on your team, because our bar manager that's now in Tampa worked up here in Tallahassee for the longest time, and he was a great employee. So it made that transition way easier. And the whole reason that our distilling program got started was because there was an employee who was really passionate about distilling, and that helped spearhead the idea of our distilling arm. Same with our coffee arm. We had somebody who was super passionate about coffee that said, you know what, this is something I want to work on, and I want to see something to fruition. So finding good people that are passionate about stuff goes a really, really long way.
That was awesome. Well, it's always the team behind the brand, and Nick and David, they're lucky to have you guys at the helm and taking leadership. Thanks for representing Tallahassee, the business community, a successful brewery, going international. So thanks for talking about your story here on CityClips.
Thanks for having us.
All right, hang tight. I'll see you guys on the other side.
Okay.